tonight, considering the cost.
So I'm hoping that we can generate enough of the money so that it doesn't hit our taxpayers.
Of bringing back a controversial community centerpiece.
Prices typically don't go down, they only go up from there.
An update on the restoration of the Prime Minister's path. Shaken by a fire scare.
He was roaming around the building and then he again sat in the patio. He just tried to start a fire everywhere possible.
An incident at a Kitchener restaurant leads to an arson charge and a community.
It was so gut-wrenchingly painful and brutal and awful for me to see.
Stepping in with support. Swan search.
Let's put out some good vibes for the swans to come back.
Some of Stratford's graceful stars.
We believe we have 6 swans that have wandered.
Appear to have gone missing. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The plan to bring the controversial Prime Minister's Path statue project back to Wilmot Township is back in focus tonight. The question council's diving into now is who will cover the cost to display them again. CTV's Heather Senerin joins us now with the latest on this. Heather, we are talking about a roughly $78,000 cost here, a number that landed on the council table just last night.
And keep in mind, Tony, the township says more than $160,000 was already spent on this project between 2020 and 2024 for things like legal advice, statue storage, and the removal of the 9 of them. So that $78,000 guesstimate is a new figure, and at this stage it is unclear who will be footing that bill. The Prime Minister's path has been riddled with controversy since the project was first discussed in 2013. By 2016, the first bronze statue of 9 was installed at Castle Kilbride in Baden. By 2021, all were removed after critics argued the display failed to reflect the full history of Canada's leaders. Now they're set to be reinstalled, but the price tag to bring them back, a hot-button topic discussed at a council meeting Monday night.
Conservatively saying $78,000, but we all know this is the rough estimate. Prices typically don't go down, they only go up from there.
$78,000 is the going reinstallment rate, according to Wilmot Township staff. It includes 6 $10,000 concrete pads and a contingency fund of $18,000 to account for any repairs that need to be done.
Therefore, I do not understand the rationale behind a sudden rush to consider spending additional substantial taxpayers' dollars to get the statues up to avoid additional storage fees.
Despite a delegate voicing her concern, one councillor says it's the only way forward.
We've invested enough money in this to walk away at this point makes absolutely no sense. So that's where we're sitting right now. So I'm hoping that we can generate enough of the money so that it doesn't hit our taxpayers.
She suggests donations from the community, adding that someone already sent the township a check for $500.
The clerk mentioned something last night before we started and said someone had sent in, this was before we even asked, had wanted to contribute to them, had seen our agenda and saw that that was in there and sent in a check. So there is definitely interest out there from our constituents.
While donations from the community is possible,
in case you're watching and would like to fund this, please do reach out.
Nothing has been finalized yet.
The decision as to if council wants this to actually be funded by the tax base or not has yet to be decided.
Township staff suggested no additional tax dollars be allocated to the Prime Minister's path and that ongoing township financial involvement should be limited to routine park maintenance. As for the next steps, it is expected to go back to council in the next month or so. That's when we might know who will pay for that reinstallment and around when it will happen. In July, council explained that there would be a volunteer-led and independent committee that would oversee the project and development of educational content. That group hasn't been officially formed yet. Tony.
Okay, we will see how that takes shape. Heather, thank you for that update. CTV's Heather Senerin reporting live. And time now for a first check on the weather. Let's head over to Alex Pinto here in studio today with the latest. Had to really watch out for that rain today, and when it did hit, in some cases, quite some downpours out there.
Oh yeah, downpours on and off pretty much throughout the afternoon, and yeah, hopefully you were not someone who got stuck in that rain earlier today, even if you tried to time it best you can. But the thunder, that was a big talk about today, too. Take a listen to what we heard just outside of our studio this afternoon. This was taken from just outside of our studio here in Kitchener around 2:30 or so this afternoon. Yeah, loud crashes of thunder, rain quite heavy at times. The clouds dark and ominous as well, as you can see here from our tower cam as well earlier today. Good news, though, when we do see downpours, of course, good for farmers' fields and our gardens, because recently we have definitely needed to see a little bit of wet weather in the forecast. And depending where you are, you might be seeing some of these scattered showers that we are looking at on our satellite and radar this hour. But that is expected to pass as we get into the later back half of the evening and into overnight. Conditions expected to clear. But right now, temperature-wise, we're just at 13 degrees, so quite a bit below seasonal for us here in Waterloo region. 19 if you are in London, 14 if you are in Mount Forest. So we're definitely feeling those cooler conditions, not much extreme heat or humidity, as technically we are still, of course, in the summer months. But we'll take a look at when that sunshine is expected to return and when we could potentially see a chance for even more wet weather to roll in before the weekend. So something we're going to keep a close eye on. Tony.
All right, Alex, thank you very much. New details in a grisly double murder linked to a homeless encampment in Barrie. And we want to warn you, details in this story are disturbing. Police confirmed today the victims and the alleged killer knew each other, all of them living at a homeless encampment. It's a missing persons case that became a murder investigation. CTV's John Woodward reports.
These were not random murders.
Barrie police speaking for the first time about the disturbing results of their investigation into the disappearances of 45-year-old William Blake Robinson and 41-year-old David Kyle Cheesquay.
Began as a missing person investigation in January of this year, was grown into one of the largest investigations Barrie police have ever had.
Charged is 52-year-old Robert Ladouceur, the unemployed man known as Tattoo Rob, facing gun and drug charges as well as murder and indignity to human remains. He lived with the two men at a homeless encampment in Barrie, officers said. That encampment fenced off for weeks among the sites targeted in an extensive search. Their investigation put to rest speculation there are more victims or other suspects.
Incidents like this are shocking and understandably shake our community, but they are exceedingly rare.
Barrie police dismissed speculation that they had a serial killer on their hands, but they did say more evidence is expected to come out in the court process. Ladouceur has a hearing scheduled this Friday.
Outside the encampment now, flowers and a heartfelt message. Many of the homeless people that once lived there have since moved on, some to a spot opposite the Barrie courthouse.
Like, for somebody to do that to someone else, it's pretty scary and unbelievable.
Justin Ouellette has lived on the streets of Barrie for 3 years, waiting for housing. He said he knew the man he called Blake.
Oh, he was like an average guy. Like, you know, he liked we hung out and went to parties and stuff.
It can happen to anyone, especially being homeless.
Another homeless man, Jesse French, said he avoided the encampment.
You see people come and go all the time, right? And you never know, sometimes people just disappear for good reason or bad reason, you don't know, right?
French said he was grateful to have at least an explanation in the men's disappearances. John Woodward, CTV News.
A Kitchener restaurant owner is crediting a mystery bystander for acting quickly when someone was lighting a fire at the business. It was all caught on camera, leading to arson charges. CTV's Ashley Bacon now on a relieved family who are relieved it wasn't worse, and a community who's stepping in to support them.
In the early hours of Sunday morning, a person is caught on surveillance camera loitering around the biryani barrel when it appears they set something on fire, walking away and letting it burn.
He was roaming around the building, and then he again sat in the patio. He just tried to start a fire everywhere possible.
By chance, an unknown Good Samaritan was passing by the incident as it was unfolding.
The gentleman was driving around the building and making sure that, you know, he goes away. He reported. He stayed until the fireman came in, the cops came in. He directed that where he went and everything.
Police and fire quickly arriving on scene.
That was a quick action from the police, and I'm so grateful that we are that we are safe now.
Police making a quick arrest following the incident. In an email to CTV News, police say a 39-year-old man is facing a number of charges, including 3 counts of arson and 1 count of possession of incendiary material. The Patels, who own the restaurant, have been grateful for the support of the community since sharing the videos.
When I saw somebody trying to light an Indian restaurant on fire, it was so gut-wrenchingly painful and brutal and awful for me to see. I want to support this restaurant as much as possible.
I'm just trying not to cry, but it's overwhelming. But yeah, so it has helped us so much that everybody trying to lift us up. It's beyond belief.
And for the mystery hero who stopped the fire from spreading.
If you are the person, we would great to have you in our restaurant, and we would love to serve you and dinner and dessert on us.
For the team here at the Biryani Barrel, it's back to business as usual. As for the accused, he remains in police custody waiting a bail hearing. Ashley Bacon, CTV News, Kitchener.
A fire at a storage facility in Stratford is being treated as suspicious. The flames and smoke sparked a public warning to nearby residents. CTV's Sean Irvin reports.
Firefighters attempt to cool a burning piece of machinery hours after a fire broke out at Stratford Mini Storage on York Street. The blaze was noted at 4 a.m. by an alarm company. Not long after, smoke billowed into the night sky.
There was heavy flame visible, and as I say, the guys make a hard initial attack, but it was decided because of the size of the fire and that had gotten into the interior that we were going to go defensive operations and attack the fire from the exterior.
The plume sparked a plea to area residents.
And we put it out to shut the windows and stay indoors and, don't come to the scene because of the amount of smoke, and so that's the message that was put out.
In an attempt to get to the fire, crews brought in heavy equipment to tear away at a warehouse connected to the business office. Still, the fire proved challenging to fight.
That's hence the reason that we've removed the panels from the exterior of the building and made our way in that way.
It would take over 5 hours to bring the blaze under control. Despite the loss of their office and warehouse, the business owners tell CTV News they're grateful firefighters prevented the blaze from spreading to dozens of rented storage units.
So obviously for the next couple of days there won't be business as usual, but we will reach out to all our customers once we have ability to do that, and then give them an update on everything.
Strathroy police tell CTV News the fire is being treated as suspicious pending the findings of a joint investigation with fire inspectors.
It appears that the fire may have started on the exterior, but our fire prevention officer is going to be working with the Stratford Carrot Police, and they're going to look into that further and determine that as the investigation unfolds.
Well, the damage here is significant. The owners intend to rebuild. In Strathroy, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Some of Stratford's most famous residents have gone missing. The city is struggling to locate a number of its famous swans, and now they're putting a call out for people to help. CTV's Colton Weems has more.
I have family visiting in town, and we have swan on our scavenger list right here. And we also have roses and a statue of Shakespeare, and it looks like we're going to be hunting for a really long time to find the swans on the river.
They're one of the main symbols of the city of Stratford, usually seen here on the Avon River, but the city says some of their iconic swans are unaccounted for.
We believe we have 6 swans that have wandered, and we don't use tracking devices on our swans. We know we had low water levels, and some swans will take to walking. We have some that can fly, and so there is a little concern. We have 13, I believe, in total with our new cygnets this year.
According to the city, sometimes the swans leave the main river system and travel to nearby tributaries, parks, stormwater ponds, or even the golf course. The city doesn't use tracking devices, so it's asking residents to keep an eye out for the birds. Since putting out the release, one person did spot a swan in a location the city hadn't seen them in before, and staff managed to locate it.
We know they can travel as well by air, and we are assuming that this one did fly. And so, we're concerned. We're hoping there's no harm has come to them.
The mayor says the swans are an important part of the community, not just for residents that live here, but also for visitors. And visitors and residents I spoke to today say it's not the same with the swans missing.
They're part of our brand, Stratford, right? Everybody has a swan planter or swans in their kitchen or a picture of swans. So it feels like it's not really Stratford without the swans.
We always visit them when we come to Stratford. If they're happy, I'm okay with it.
That is horrible. Who would do such a thing? They're so beautiful to be in the park. It's very sad.
The mayor says the city does have plans to add 4 more swans to the flock, but using some way to track them might be helpful in the future. Ritzma encourages anyone who spots a swan to contact the city.
Let's put out some good vibes for the swans to come back.
Colton Ween, CTV News, Stratford.
Start your day in the know with the CTV Kitchener newsletter. The best local content from CTV News right to your inbox. The top stories, the weather forecast, and must-see videos. You can sign up at ctvnewskitchener.ca. A call for justice over the hospital death of a woman who had given birth. Coming up, we'll hear why a man is accusing the hospital of gross negligence in the case.
And it's a nutty way to produce energy, how University of Waterloo researchers are getting wattage out of walnuts. Stick around for that story after the break.
Below seasonal and a wet day across many areas in southern and southwestern Ontario. I'll let you know when that sun is expected to make a return and when we could potentially see some more rain in your full forecast coming up a bit later.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvkitchener.ca, your home for news. When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
A husband is calling for justice, accusing an Ontario hospital of gross negligence after his wife died from sepsis after giving birth to their 3rd child. Post-delivery, a bacterial infection developed into a life-threatening medical emergency. CTV's Adrian Dobril spoke with the man who maintains his wife should have survived.
On June 19th, 40-year-old Ravinder Sidhu arrived here at Mississauga, Ontario's Credit Valley Hospital for the successful delivery of a healthy baby boy. Though just 4 days later, the mother of 3 was sadly dead. The initial cause of death, a Group A strep infection. Roughly 6 hours after the delivery of her newborn baby, Sidhu said she felt like she had hypothermia. Freezing cold, she was at times struggling to speak. Her temperature spiked, as did her white blood cell count and heart rate, and she was withering in pain. For 2 days, her condition deteriorated. Pleading for painkillers, her family said she was only given Advil and Tylenol. It wasn't until an infection appeared visible on her leg that she was taken to the ICU and administered an antibiotic. By then, her husband says it was too late.
By that point, she was already being eaten alive by the bacteria, and she was already suffering the worst pain. We begged for help, which never arrived. Now I learned that sepsis is a race against time, but doctors never started the clock. Had they listened to us, my wife would be still alive and she would be with her family. I really hope that no other family has to go through this.
Sidhu's family have filed a complaint with Ontario's Patients Ombudsman and with the hospital. In 2023, there were 4,600 cases of invasive Group A strep uncovered in Canada, a 40% increase from 2019.
When you see, those red flags, you have to intervene, right? And a lot of professionals are actually trained in the critical care and the ICU units, to deal with this, with these types of symptoms.
We asked the hospital if they're launching an official review into the specific standard of care given to Ravinder Sidhu. In an email, Credit Valley would only say that a review is part of their standard practice led by clinical experts. Adrian Gobro, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
Well, it may sound nuts, but local researchers are using actual nuts to generate green energy. A team out of the University of Waterloo is creating electricity using discarded walnut shells and drops of water. Let's head over to CTV's Spencer Turcotte, who stopped by the university today. So, Spencer, how did they even discover this was possible?
Well, one of the students had a hunch it may be possible after cracking open a hazelnut, and rather than seeing the nooks and crannies inside, he saw them as transport methods for energy. You could say University of Waterloo researchers are going nuts for green energy.
Cheers. Cheers to the future energy.
Inspiration for a new way to harvest it struck during snack time.
I was eating hazelnut once in my home, and I saw the nut structure. Something came in my mind, so we can utilize this nut shell structure to harvest energy.
Sounds nutty, right? But where most people see dips and divots inside a nut, Nazmul Hossain saw the complex networks of pores as a travel system for electricity. They sampled many nuts and found they could get the most wattage from walnuts.
And the good thing is it's like agricultural waste. So we are just throwing it out. We don't utilize it.
The discovery comes at a time when industries are struggling to find renewable energy sources. So, how does it work? In a nutshell, they use this device known as a water-induced electrical generator.
As the water is going through the holes, it generates electricity, as we can see in the monitor there.
By connecting the device to discarded walnut shells, it uses the water that flows through the nutshell structure, and as it moves, it transports electrically charged ions through the wires, which interact with the surface of the shells to create a charge imbalance that generates electricity.
So this one currently can easily turn on a calculator.
However long it takes for the water to evaporate is how long it can send an electrical current. The team is now looking ahead to see how they can power more devices.
I hope I can utilize this for even further electronic devices like the smartwatch or more small biomedical devices. We can even wrap it in our hand just behind the smartwatch. So it can be used like hair, and it can be banded with the smartwatch.
So it seems they've cracked the code, using a food that powers our brains to instead power our devices. And the team also tested out wood since it retains water in similar ways, but it seems walnuts are the most efficient and preferred method for future possibilities. Tony.
All right, Spencer, thank you very much. CTV's Spencer Turcotte with that report. A live look outside now at King Street in front of Kitchener City Hall after a day that we saw a lot of heavy rain showers, but quick bursts of rain, some downpours, kind of here and there and everywhere today. Alex is back in just a couple of moments to let us know how the rest of our week is shaping up. Also coming up, a former Laurier football star learns his fate with the NFL's Green Bay Packers. What the road ahead looks like now for Taylor Elgersma. But next, Canada's biggest military mission overseas is being extended. Details on that and some other military announcements in Latvia today coming up next. Welcome back. Alex is with us for a look at our extended forecast, which is going to take us right through Labor Day weekend. And as if we already didn't get enough of a hint of fall with the cooler air, we got some thunder and some downpours today. Boy, a little bit of everything this week in this final week of summer vacation for most people.
Yes, a little bit of a mixed bag, if you will. And of course, yeah, it's cooler, like you said, below seasonal. Pretty much going to be like that through the rest of the week, but especially as we start off the work week a little bit later, it should warm up, but ever so slightly. And yeah, it was the rain. So you potentially got caught in it, or you just missed it
I think I planned it just perfectly because we were discussing about when to get out for a walk over lunch hour. And you said to me at one point, I think maybe you go now. and it was perfect. I got back and the sky opened up again. So.
And then it rained again, on and off.
But your suggestion, that little window was right. So I'm coming to you for advice now on this.
Well, hey, we try, and at least I'm glad it helped you. But sometimes it's hard and tricky to kind of time it out perfectly. But because we saw it, a couple shots ago where the clouds were quite dark, we saw some rain, and now look, We've got some cloud cover and a little bit of blue. So we're seeing a little bit of everything. So take a live look from downtown Kitchener this hour. Yeah, so that chance of showers, depending what area you are in, expected to stick around for at least a bit of the evening. But then as we get into the back half of the night, into your overnight hours, that's when the system should clear. But it's nice to see a little bit of that blue sky there after so much rain for some areas today. So some scattered showers still through many areas. If you're in Brantford, Hamilton, even Mount Forest, potentially could be a little bit heavier this hour for you right now. But yes, once that system does pass, for most of us around the 9 o'clock hour or so, a little bit of cloud cover on and off. But really, as we get into your Wednesday, that's when we should see that sun expected to return. Still going to be a little bit cool. But Wednesday will be probably your best day in terms of getting any outdoor activities or maybe some yard work done, because when we look ahead to Thursday, at this point at least, yeah, this is what we're going to stop it here and take a look at that system that is expected to make its way across southern and southwestern Ontario. So rain is expected, heavy at times, potentially, as we can see in the yellow and darker orange area. Chance for a little bit more active weather. This is when we could see some thunderstorm activities as well. So we like to say, of course, when that thunder roars, that's when you want to go indoors. So we might be looking at a day like that for your Thursday. And I know some fall fairs are starting on Thursday as well, Paris in particular. So we're going to keep an eye on that and see if that system does change. 15 it is right now here in Kitchener-Waterloo. 15 also in Hamilton, 17 degrees in the city of Toronto. So definitely below seasonal for this time of year. We should be sitting around that 24-degree mark. We actually have not hit our expected high. We were supposed to hit about 18 degrees today. We hit at the noon hour 17, and at this point I don't think we're going to be getting up to 18. Overnight low 6 degrees. That's what we're expected to see, so quite cool as we get into the overnight hours. Record high 36 degrees. Imagine that. That was set back in 1948. And on this day in 1927, 3.9, that was our overnight record low. Now that sun now setting at 8:08 p.m. So tomorrow might be a nice day to enjoy that sunset potentially. And yeah, it's getting closer and closer to that 8 o'clock mark. So that's really a sign that our days are just getting shorter and summer is slowly coming to an end. So mainly cloudy again. That chance of showers could be sticking with some areas, but it is expected to end as we get into the back half of the night. But this is when we could also see some fog start to develop overnight and into your early morning hours, but by 6 o'clock or so, that should dissipate. So tomorrow, 21, that is our expected high. Mix of sun and cloud. That UV index is still considered to be high, sitting at about a 6 for tomorrow. Over the next few days, once we get past that chance of showers potentially for your Thursday, yeah, then we could see a slight chance for your Friday, but Saturday and Sunday looking pretty good. That's not a bad long weekend. I know it's not going to be extremely hot and humid, but still quite comfortable, which will be nice. And again, at least we're going to get a break from that extreme heat and humidity like we saw a couple weeks back. For Lambton, Kent, and Essex, mainly sunny skies for your Wednesday, with a high of 23 expected before you could potentially see a little bit of wet weather, but also looks like mix of sun and cloud for your weekend at this point, even though it's still several days out. And southern Georgian Bay, rain expected for you when we look ahead to Thursday with a high of 19 degrees. You're still going to stick around that temperature point when we look at your Friday. 40% chance for some wet weather we're seeing before the weekend rolls in. And here's tonight's Weather Watcher, a picture. This one sent to us from Catherine from Bellwood. Catherine captured this shot of a beautiful monarch butterfly in her garden on one of her flowers. A pretty incredible shot. Thank you so much for sending this and being tonight's Weather Watcher. We love seeing what kind of critters and creatures and all kinds that we get to see in your gardens, which is really nice to see. So we're seeing hummingbirds and butterflies and all sorts of insects.
Beautiful, beautiful shot. Let's name it the butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect. I love it. And the colors, too, just kind of scream fall.
They do. Yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
All right. Thanks, Alex. Well, Prime Minister Carney was busy out on the international stage today, committing to extending Canada's NATO mission in Latvia for 3 years and pursuing some new economic and military cooperation with Europe, something that includes at least one big-ticket item. With more, here's CTV's Abigail Beeman.
What class of some of this? Prime Minister Mark Carney tours a shipyard. The German-Norwegian consortium TKNS is pitching Canada to buy its submarines.
Our subs are quieter than Canadian snowfall, but tougher than a player in the Stanley Cup final.
In Berlin, the government announced it's narrowed its search for up to 12 new submarines to 2 companies, this one and South Korea's Hanwha.
It's not about buying the big shiny object from the showroom floor. It's about how you are going to sustain that capability over what will probably end up being 30 to 40 years.
Canada's submarine fleet is so old it will be decommissioned by 2035. Senior government officials describe the situation as having some urgency.
We need to be able to have year-round fleets in all 3 coasts under quite demanding conditions. So that's how the field narrows quite quickly.
In addition to tricky technical requirements, the government wants a purchase as massive as this one to have an equal investment in Canada.
Really positive indication with this announcement today, which is atypical for the way Canada's generally approached big procurements, and based on a project budget that could get into like $100 billion range. This could end up being the single most expensive and largest defense acquisition that we've ever undertaken.
TKMS's CEO said they were open to building in Canada, which would be a first.
The customer is always right? So if they want or demand for special, let's say, reasons to build them in Canada, we would also be able for that.
Wednesday, the Prime Minister will meet Canadian troops here in Latvia. Tonight, he announced he will extend the NATO mission Canada leads here by another 3 years. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Riga.
Meanwhile, the Canada-U.S. trade minister was in Washington today, meeting with the Trump administration's top economic advisor. Dominic LeBlanc met with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. The talks are said to have been constructive, and the meeting lasted longer than scheduled, from an hour to 90 minutes. But it's still not known whether the countries are any closer to a deal. The meeting came after Ottawa announced last week that it would lift retaliatory tariffs on some U.S. goods. And up next, that turn in the trade war, could it soon be felt in the supermarket? How an end to retaliatory tariffs could translate to a difference on your next grocery shop. We'll take a closer look at that right after this. The Parliamentary Budget Officer says 3.2 million new homes need to be built in the next decade to close the housing gap. And right now, we are not on track to meet that requirement. The latest PBO report estimates the number of new home builds will be higher over the next 3 years, but will gradually return to historical averages after that. It expects an average of 227,000 new homes to be completed a year for the next decade, and a total of about 2.5 million over that time frame. More than 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants will begin voting tomorrow on a new tentative agreement. The airline and the union agreed to the deal last week, ending a 3-day strike. It includes a pay raise and establishes a pay structure for time worked when aircraft are not in the air. The ratification vote will take more than a week. Canada Post lost $407 million before tax in its second quarter. The Crown Corporation's parcels business fell because of labor uncertainty. The Postal Service made a profit before tax of $46 million a year earlier. Canada Post has warned it is losing millions of dollars in business daily. The company's in a new round of contract talks with workers after they rejected an offer in a government-ordered vote earlier this year. Well, turning again to the latest on the trade war, Canada's decision to lift most retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods is bringing relief to shoppers who could soon start seeing prices drop, particularly at the grocery store. Here's CTV's Dave Charbonneau.
Did you find everything you were looking for? Yeah.
At Cedars & Co. Food Market on Bank Street, they've had to shift away from offering American produce and goods.
We have had to transition because of the tariffs.
Back in March, the Carney government imposed counter tariffs on a long list of American goods, including coffee and tea, orange juice, tires, shoes, and electronics.
When the tariffs came in, we saw a huge rise on dry goods as well as product lines in the produce area. So from anything that came in from the United States, oranges went up significantly up in price. So we transitioned. South Africa, Argentina, Ecuador, Portugal, Morocco.
I like to know where my products come from.
With Canada set to lift tariffs September 1st, businesses and shoppers are counting on lower prices.
I would say 90% of our clients have boycotted U.S. goods, and they are relying solely on Canadian goods.
You support local businesses, Canadian businesses, and try to avoid unnecessary tariffs where they apply.
I want to support the local producers. The people who are doing all the work, I want to support them on the Canadian side.
At Capital Furniture and Mattress, owner Nadia Gadban says tariffs have hurt sales.
They've slowed down business for sure.
But come September 1st, Gadban plans to cut prices.
We are going to drop our prices back down by 15% so that we're back to the norm that we were because customers have noticed the sudden increase. So this is our Canadian brand.
But when it comes to mattresses, customers here also buying Canadian.
Our business has gone up 25% since the tariffs were implemented because people have stopped buying the American brand.
The price of coffee beans went up considerably the minute the tariffs hit.
Back at Cedars & Co., Dibs says she might consider U.S. goods again, but only as a last resort.
So if the produce significantly comes down in price and we need to adjust and we cannot find it in other countries, diverse countries, we will definitely have to fall back on the U.S.
Dave Charbonneau, CTV News.
All right, Leanne Evans in studio with us to recap our top stories on this Tuesday. And Leanne, Wilmot Township's plan to bring back the controversial Prime Minister's Path project, that's certainly been in focus this week.
Yeah, it has. Councillors got a first look last night at a report outlining the roughly $78,000 of work that will need to be done on the statue site at Castle Kilbride. That would include 6 $10,000 concrete pads and a contingency fund of $18,000 to account for any repairs that may need to be made. If council approves the cost, staff say there will be no more municipal tax dollars spent on the project. Council is expected to vote on the cost in the next month or so. A 39-year-old Kitchener man is facing arson charges after an incident caught on camera outside a Kitchener restaurant. It shows someone lurking around Sunday morning, then trying to light a few areas on fire. This is at Barani Barrel on King Street East. The restaurant owners say they're grateful someone who was passing by at the time called police.
And Leanne, looking at what our digital team is working on, I think this is the content we all need right now. After a long day, maybe a hectic day, everyone loves looking at our fur babies, and we've got basically the CTV fur family on display, don't we?
Yes, we do, because it is International Dog Day, but we're not leaving the cats out of things. You know, I know you're a cat dad, so you're probably happy about this one. But yeah, we've got a nice highlight reel of our fur babies online, a good gallery of all their photos there, giving them the spotlight they most certainly deserve. You can check it out by scanning the QR code, downloading the CTV News app, or going to ctvnewskitchener.ca. We've got a full reel there, tons of pets, something to be sure to brighten your day, especially on a rainy, gloomy one.
Yeah, handsome Mr. Kodak right on the cover there, too.
He's looking good.
You know, when I caught wind of this album being put together, I will admit I stood up at my desk and went, dogs? Only dogs? And
that's
so
why there's cats.
Our digital editors kindly opened up the qualification for that album.
Hey, all the animals are cute, so they can all have a spot.
We love them. They bring us joy.
They do.
Thanks, Leanne.
Thank you.
Former Laurier Golden Hawk Taylor Elgersma has been released by the NFL's Green Bay Packers, but his time in the league may not be done. Elgersma was signed as an undrafted free agent back in May. He played 3 preseason games, completed 16 of 23 passes for 166 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Elgersma played university football at Laurier, of course. He may still get a chance to return to the Packers organization as a member of the team's practice squad. Later on CTV News, it's a love story with a big, bright yes. We'll have more on the superstar engagement of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and the story behind the ring involved. A pair of Southern Ontario golfers are getting ready to represent Canada at the Long Drive World Championships this fall in South Carolina. CTV's Scott Miller caught up with them on the practice range today.
Dave Ammerman and Ashton Nickel are not messing around when they hit the driving range.
I'm aiming for 400 yards. That's
what I'm striving to get to, and I will keep pushing until I get to it. But an average drive for me right now is in and around the 340 to 350 mark.
Ammerman and Nickel will both be representing Canada at the Ultimate Long Drive World Championships this October in South Carolina. Nickel, who's been golfing since he was 10, has always been a big hitter off the tee, but just took part in his first long drive competition last year.
Yeah, a couple buddies were just like, oh, wow, man, you can just crush that ball. You should do something with that. So I tried something, and here we are.
While the long-hitting duo have invested in special drivers to help add distance off the tee, like most sports, getting better is about practice, practice, practice.
A lot of speed training, getting your club speed faster, using, learning how to properly swing is the biggest thing that I've had to do in the last couple of years. So my swings, it's gone multiple times over from what it used to be, and so it's a lot of work, but it's rewarding.
Nickel has added a rocking motion before he hits the ball to try and up his distance, which currently sits around 315 yards off the tee.
Just giving you some more leg power into that ball. Hip swing.
Nickel says he's just happy to be one of the 39 members of Team Canada after just a year of competing, while Ammerman, also known as the Viking on tour, hopes to improve his standing from the last 3 World Championships as he works towards joining the professional long drive ranks in the next couple of years.
I don't know if I'd call it a job. It's pretty expensive to travel around and do everything. Like, you got event entry fees, you got accommodations, travel, everything that comes with it. The pro level does pay out. Amateur level, there's no monetary prizes. It's pretty much just bragging rights and trophies and belts and stuff like that.
The longest drive in the pro ranks is 577 yards, says Ammerman. He needs to hit 400 yards first and hopes to do that when he and Nickel represent Canada at the World Championships in 2 months' time. Near Mount Forest, Scott Miller, CTV News.
And more news in a moment. First, let's check in with Alex.
Some scattered showers expected to pass as we get back into the later half of the day. We'll let you know how cool it could be tomorrow morning and wake up weather coming up. Here's your Tuesday night lineup at 7 o'clock. It's E-Talk before several episodes of The Big Bang Theory starting at 7:30. Then at 9, The Amazing Race Canada before Battle of the Generations at 10.
Okay, our news team keeping an eye on a couple of developing stories. Let's join Leanne Evans with an update. Leanne.
Tony, we are watching a crash in the Flamborough area. One person has critical injuries after the 2-vehicle collision. It happened in the area of Valens Road and 5th Concession Road West just before 3 o'clock. Roads in that area remain closed for the investigation. Also, a Legionnaire's outbreak has been redeclared in the London area after another person has died from the disease. The outbreak had previously been declared over at the beginning of the month. We're following these stories and more, and we'll have your next local news tonight at 11:30. Tony.
All right, thanks for those updates, Leanne. Appreciate that. And Alex is here with our wake-up weather for Wednesday. Just 3 more days until a long weekend.
Just 3 more days. We've got to get through before we get to enjoy an extra weekend, which will be nice to see. And one thing to note as well as we take a look at that board, the icon for 6 a.m. It is still dark out now, officially dark out now at 6 a.m. I've definitely noticed that as someone who gets up around then. It's been a little bit harder. You may have noticed that as well, but mainly clear conditions for you about 8 o'clock or so. Then by 10, pretty much some sunshine expected with, we should be sitting around 16, so still a little bit chilly.
I noticed it last night when I tried to get a run in after work, that sun disappearing quite quickly now.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
We're all feeling it.
It's that time. Finally for us, it's a wonderful ending to her own love story. The world's biggest pop star is getting married.
Taylor Swift announcing her engagement to NFL star Travis Kelce today, taking the entertainment world by storm. Here's CTV's Andrea Case.
Travis Kelce proposed and Taylor Swift said yes. And fans in Toronto couldn't be happier.
Yes! Oh, they're engaged. They're engaged. Wait, actually? Oh my gosh.
Have a good life with her husband.
Some good advice. What advice would you give him with her?
Be nice.
One of the world's most famous couples announced their engagement on Instagram with the caption, "Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married." The ring, an old mine brilliant cut diamond from Kindred Lubeck. As for the dress she wore, by Ralph Lauren, already sold out. It was a 3-time Super Bowl winner, Travis Kelce, who pursued Swift more than 2 years ago.
So I was a little butthurt I didn't get to hand her one of the bracelets I made for her, one with my number on it.
Eventually they met, Swift admitting she didn't know much about football.
I didn't know what a first down was.
I am forever thankful for you diving into the football world.
And she certainly did, creating a stir just entering the football stadium, and NFL cameras constantly covering her every move in the Kelce family private box.
The latest status is I got to see her last week. That's the latest status right there. I'm going to keep my personal relationship personal.
She attended his games, and he followed her on the Eras Tour, attending 14 concerts, even making an appearance in one of her London shows.
What I saw on that tour last year was pretty remarkable. It was something I could admire watching and take a lot of notes from.
Even President Donald Trump, when asked, had something to say on the news of the engagement.
Well, I wish him a lot of luck. I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person, so I wish them a lot of luck.
He hasn't always been so gracious about the pop star, posting, "I hate Taylor Swift," after she endorsed Kamala Harris for president.
Well, everyone can come around to a good love story, right?
Oh, I love this.
By the way, that ring, which I told you to take a good look at, that bulky ring, dates back to the 18th century and was intended to help shimmer by candlelight. That's why it's so bulky.
Beautiful.
Very cool.
Congrats to them.
That's our time. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.